I've had a couple of viewers ask me about planting garlic to do a video about it. There's really not much to show about it. What I did is here I went down and I picked out 5 of the nice, I like to use the biggest cloves that I grew this year. They're nice and dry, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and open them up. Yeah, look at the size of this garlic. This is just, that one's got a little bit, no, it's okay. So I'm just going to pull these apart, and you can see some of these cloves are really nice, big fat ones. And these are what we're going to plant in the ground. Really not much to it. You just kind of want to make sure that when you put it in the ground, this part here that had the root growing on it originally has to go down, and you want to stand it up like that, and the top will grow out of that side. That's really the only thing you have to worry about growing garlic. And once you grow it the first year, just every year from there on, out, you'll never buy it again. You'll just grab some of your, grab the biggest bulbs that you have, because they tend to do the best and give you the biggest harvest the next year, and just go through and break them apart like this. Now, I like to wait until you start getting cool nights. It's a little late this year because we've had really warm nights, and if you put the garlic out too early, it'll start growing the green stuff up too fast, and you won't get good garlic the next year. You just want to get a couple weeks of growth before you get a good freeze. So pretty much, let me finish this up, and then we'll go just stick it in the ground. But you can see just how beautiful this garlic is that I grew. Now you can see I've prepared one of these raised beds. I did throw a little bit more compost in it, some fresh compost for the garlic to take off. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking these and poking them in the ground, like I said, with that root side down, and I'm only going to go a couple inches apart on them. I find out I could, get them about 4 inches apart, and I get a good yield out of them. Now you want to make sure the soil is soft so it's not really pressing in on them. And one other little thing is make sure that you buy a good seed garlic if you're just starting out for the first time. Don't use grocery store garlic. That actually, a lot of that's treated, and it's not going to do good. It may not even sprout or grow. So your best bet's going to be is, buy some good known seed garlic the first time, and then from there on, just save some every year. So this is it. I mean, it's basically very simple process. I like to leave them sticking out so you can see them, so you know that you're about 4 inches apart as you're going. And don't stick them in the ground too far, because you want the bulb to kind of not have a lot of pressure on it when it's growing. So I'm just going to stick all these in the ground now. And then what's going to happen is, once we start getting close to the real cold, hard freezes, the 0-degree weather, I'm just going to go back here and put a couple inches of mulch on top of them to try to keep them from getting too frozen, and give them an early start in the spring. So pretty much, you can see that's it. There's no real secrets to it, no real science behind it. Just start with good seed garlic, and you can start with a depending on the flavor that you like. You can go with a hard neck or soft neck, and you can get some really nice Italian varieties. And so there are a lot of seed varieties to choose from. And that's all it takes to get going. So there it is, all my bulbs are in, and I'm just going to go back and spread a little bit of this compost over top of them. And that's it till next year. Basically, garlic is zero trouble. You give it some compost, mulch it a little bit later, and weed it a couple times in the spring, and It's one of the few crops I've never had a problem with. I've never had a bug problem or animal problem or anything else. So it's really easy to grow, and like I said, once you start the first year, after that you'll have garlic for life without buying anymore. And we find that one of these round raised beds is perfect for the two of us for garlic for the year and a little bit extra to plant. And just one last look around, you can see the garden's done for the year. Some basil I have to get seed out of down there. That's got a little while longer to go, but basically the beds are all cleaned out. Everything's done for the year down here. It was another great season. So here we go. We are now officially closed for the season. On to other things. Now to take a look at some of the other mess that I'm dealing with this summer. It was so wet I didn't get out and keep all the areas cleaned up around my pole barn and stuff. So I've been out there pulling weeds. You can see there's some massive weeds from this summer. And trying to get everything cleaned back up and cut back down and get that ready for the winter too. And then over by the garden, my asparagus were overtaken by giant weeds this year. Same thing, we didn't do any weeding, didn't do any work on them. So I've got that mess that I'm also working on cutting back and cleaning up, and just kind of trying to catch up for what I put off this summer. You can see a little bit of rhubarb there that I did grab some from. And it's time to get out the weed whackers with the this one here. I've got the blade on and just gonna clean up a little bit. No, actually this is the other one with the just a line on it, and I'm using that to clean up the area where those elderberry bushes all died. I had the 10 elderberry bushes die back this year from the drought, and I decided to just take my brush cutter blade and cut them back and just trim everything up, the mess around them here, and hopefully something will grow back in the spring from them. I was originally going to pull out all the roots and dig them out and stuff, and I'm like, well, I'll give them one more chance. So we'll see in the spring if anything comes back. And then there's the other brush cutter. I actually had to took an old saw blade that I had laying around to cut these things down. I wanted to cut them flush with the ground so the mower would go over them. And I guess it's kind of dangerous to use a carbide tip saw blade, but actually it works good on it. Just kind of wish it had a little more power. I mean, these are just light duty weed whackers, so maybe someday I'll get a brush cutter, but for now they do a good job. And you can trim flush. The only thing with the blade is if you get into tall grass, it can wrap around it and slow it down a lot. But basically you can see that lets me kind of cut everything off flush with the ground. And if they come back next year, they come back. If not, I'll just keep mowing over them and let the stumps rot in the ground there. And so that's been sometime I've been trying to play catch up for everything that I let go this summer with all that rain we had and everything. And there you can see I just about got them all taken care of. And the hops are a mess. A lot of hops up there, but I didn't get to them in time, and the wind actually dried them out too much, so they'll be going into compost. And there you can see I've got those weeds around the asparagus cut back and starting to collect leaves and mulch. And my wife made another one of those butternut bundt cakes that I love with the maple syrup frosting on it. Oh, those things are just so good. So we've been enjoying the butternuts, and we do have a ton of them here. These are some of them that are left over that didn't fit in the root cellar that I'm trying to find somebody to give them away to. And during the garden cleanup, I did get some final eggplants and tomatoes that my wife breaded up, and we had some real nice fried up eggplant and tomatoes a couple times. And last of the peppers there finally, and these little round Cuneo ones went in the freezer for stuffing. We love stuffing these little guys. And then the sweet potatoes, we've been eating all we can of them. Here's some sweet potatoes on the grill with some ribs, and they're really good. And there's some carrots from the garden too that we've been eating. So a real colorful meal there, but really great. And the video was basically about getting the garlic in. So There's last year's garlic and there's next year's garlic. So we'll see how it grows. Thanks for watching.